Okay, guys. So we are on our last podcast episode for the Ramadan series, even though
Mhm.
Ramadan is like what, 2 weeks gone by already?
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 weeks gone. But I mean, this was our initial intention. But welcome, guys. Welcome back, guys. I'm Sara Mudallal, and
And I'm Rosie.
we are the Legends Pod. So I think what we wanted to talk about was two main things. One is a recap of everything that we pretty much learned because this is our very first experience with podcasting together,
Yes.
and we wanted to recap everything that we talked about from the beginning of Ramadan to now, and then what can we implement in investing. So I pretty much gave you the rundown of everything that we're going to talk about. So stick around, subscribe, do your thing, it's you're literally here. We are literally your background noise. So enjoy, and hopefully your car ride is just as smooth as our podcast.
And we really want to talk about how to invest in ourselves, continue to invest in ourselves
Mhm,
personally, professionally, financially,
mhm.
and just really how to be like that resilient force that's dealing with ever the constant changes that are happening around us at such a fast pace and how to not just keep up with life but thrive in life.
And I think what we can actually talk about in the beginning is that we invested in ourselves, invested our time into this podcast from the very beginning of Ramadan, and we learned a lot. Not to say that we're ending our podcast forever, but I'm just saying, like, just in general, just as a recap. But like, we learned a lot of like how to podcast, and at the same time, it's like we've learned to just flow, which is very cool.
Yes.
Which is very cool. So the very first episode is how to break a routine. The second episode is how to control time. The third episode, I forgot about the third episode, but the fourth episode is also I forgot the name of that too. I'm just drawing a blank here. But I remember the first two very very well. But in all of that, the whole time is just like pretty much all comes down to investing in yourself because we're talking about how to, um, and then it comes down to that because you know I think yeah I don't know what do you have to say?
Growth is a
Yeah,
mindset.
there
So
it
we
is.
we want to cultivate that growth mindset.
Mhm,
It is one thing saying nice things that sound good, right?
mhm.
Like, yeah, reading is important, research is important. Um, and organizing your time, allocating certain time for certain things, making plans, being organized.
Which
Those are
is
all good, right?
which is part of like the Ramadan series that we were
Yeah.
trying to implement in all the daily lives as well.
But
Investing in yourself and like becoming a better person, reading more, and like
mhm,
spirituality as well, things like that.
it's now how do we apply it? But how do we also keep it consistent
Hmm.
in application?
Hmm.
Um, So we're not falling back into like old routines,
Yeah.
right? Because we talked about the mind wants the easier way out,
Hmm.
the simpler way of doing things,
Yeah.
right? My mind always wants to take a shortcut.
Hmm.
The easiest way, the quickest way, the simplest way, done,
Hmm.
right?
Which is, I mean, it's satisfying, but at the same time, it's like we also talked about how the satisfaction of working hard is obviously way more rewarding instead of like reaching the shortcut and just
Hmm.
being like, oh, I got here, but I'm not satisfied because there is no effort that was put in.
It's like when you first learn math and they tell you, your teacher says, I don't want you just to tell me the answer. I need you to tell me how you got to it.
Oh, I
And I always
hated
used to
that.
get that, right? Like, okay, I know the answer, but explain to me how.
Hmm.
Because they wanna know, do you have the thought process in place, not just how to quickly get there.
Yeah.
So, let's start with personal. What do you
Okay.
think are ways to continue to invest in ourselves personally
Hmm.
and really cultivate that growth,
Hmm.
within ourselves?
So, I can talk about what I'm thinking and being. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't want to say I've like been in the big spotlight, but like I've been in the exposed to social media for like quite some time, And as much as I do love it, there always has to be like a plan B. And like it's always the thought process in my head of like what's next, what's next, what's next, because like you attain a goal, you reach a goal, or there's a goal that you're trying to get to that is not happening as quick as you want. What is
Mhm.
your fallback? And it's two things of like blindly going in with no plan. It's like, no, no, it's gonna work, it's gonna work. And I think I did have that mindset for a very long time. Um, but it's also looking back and accepting that like, sometimes there are some things that you have to do in terms of to maybe take a step back to take two steps forward kind of
Okay.
thing, which is I mean, like, also, dude, this podcast is definitely like a therapy session for sure because we talk about it and we literally leave the podcast and we just go,
Ah.
wow, that was great. We had a great, yeah, that was a great talk, you know?
Mhm.
So now that like I'm speaking out loud and like I wrote about it in my journal this morning, it's like now that I mean, I do want to pursue like a maybe a corporate career where it's like, sometimes maybe I could work on something that I did major in, which is marketing, which is in itself creativity. And that is something that like I'm really happy that I majored in because that way like I learned I mean the things that I implemented about myself in social media where it's like I marketed myself, put myself out there and like I've dove into like uh a- AdSense and like Google advertising and things like that. So in terms of experience, like yeah, like I want to try a corporate career where at the same time it's like I can implement what I've learned, but also have fun with it. And there's still some life ahead. And that's where I want to like I guess gear towards or invest myself towards that
Mhm.
because I do have things that experience that I felt I can fall back on that I can prove like hey like pick me and here's why. So
Yeah,
that's what I'm currently thinking about.
I love that. So
Yeah.
seeking like a diversity of experiences
Mhm.
is very important for personal growth,
Mhm.
right? Um, I can speak to that too. Like same place you are in your career as I did one thing for so long and it was the same thing.
Mhm.
And I started feeling like the hamster in the hamster wheel. I would say not like my advice from my experience is if you get to a point where you master something, move on. Because my mistake was I mastered it, but I kept going in the
Mhm.
same spot.
Yeah.
Why? Maybe being comfortable, maybe being scared of change.
It's very important. Like sometimes it's that workforce environment where at some point there's a certain period of time where you're just mindlessly like just
Mhm,
doing the same routines all the time and you said you reached a certain point of mastery
mhm.
and it's like every day like you're turning the wheel, you're turning the wheel, you're turning the wheel until some point you're like you just stop for a second, you're like I've been turning the wheel for way too long,
Mhm.
let me look around to see if there are bigger wheels to turn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let me look around because the thing is, our perspective becomes so focused
Narrow,
on
yeah.
just like, yeah, narrow on one thing
Yeah.
and even one aspect of the business or one specific position. So, yeah, diversifying the experiences is very important.
Mhm.
If you can do different jobs within the company, look at promotional opportunities, mentorships, ways to get elevate your skill sets,
Mhm.
learn new different
Which
things.
is
Super important.
yeah, absolutely. And I think like speaking from my experience, it's like I have a lot of athletic backgrounds and I was trying to like I mean, I'm be honest, like I was trying to get into the stunt industry, which is in itself like the amount of people that I do know is mind-blowing to me and it's really cool. But at the same time it's like it's also such a tough thing to get into as a hijabi. And realistically speaking, like anything is possible if you put your mind to it. 100% totally believe in it. Going gung ho, 100% believe in it. But there's also like this point of acceptance where it's like, is it one of the reasons I'm not getting hired is because I am a hijabi? Or is that those are the thoughts that come in. It's like it's maybe more difficult to um dress as a stunt double for someone or things like that. It's like okay, they have to accommodate a little bit more, which is a little more work on their end, so like they'd rather not do it because there's probably other candidates available,
Yeah.
you know? And sometimes those are the things that like kind of hit me in a way where like, okay, like yeah, fine, like I'll accept it. The opportunity, I'll always leave it open no matter what. But I'm not going to close it, but I'm going to look for other endeavors where I can succeed in kind of thing.
Mhm.
And it's like that's where it put me in a place where it's like, maybe, I'll look into like the corporate industry cuz me personally, like the time that I invested in myself, whether it's in like physically or also like educationally, it's like no, I feel like I do have a lot to offer in this world, and I love being in a creative space to invest in that. And so the tunnel vision was really what you said, like the narrow focus of no, I got this. No, I want this, or like, this is exactly what I want. It's like sometimes you have to just expand into things. And it was very tough to like accept. I had to write it down in my journal for that, you know? I'm like, I didn't want to speak it into existence, but at the same time, it's like, no, like I mean, sometimes you got to write down what you think. I don't know. That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah.
It's so my like understanding of like what you're saying would be have your short and long-term goals set in place,
Hmm.
right? Have your plan set in place, but also be nice to yourself, be kind to yourself. You
Yeah.
know, sometimes if one thing doesn't work, it's okay to readjust your plans.
Hmm.
And it's okay to try in a different direction,
Hmm.
right? Um do not limit yourself because sometimes we could be the reason why we're not manifesting everything we want.
Oh my God.
And you know how? And that's what you said. It's hard to accept.
Yeah.
If I'm specifically asking for this specific thing, right? I'm reducing my chances. But if I say, I am successful in any direction I go,
Hmm.
I'm successful whether I'm in this industry, this position, that position, I'm the one who makes the
I
success.
think Rosie's today's giving me that therapy session because I need to hear that. Like the words of affirmations, like, it's okay. It's okay. And I'm like, it's okay. It's
It is
okay.
okay. There were times where I was in a position, and I'll give you an example,
Hmm.
applying to transfer laterally within the same exact position.
Hmm.
So you would think easy piece of cake, right? I mean, I'm experienced.
Sure.
I know the job. It's simple.
Yeah.
Put me in. No, I got 5 declines, and
Yeah.
I'm already doing the job in the job with experience before I got the acceptance on the sixth time.
Which is crazy.
So you know, it's okay. Things happen for a reason,
Right.
right? We believe, like one of our core beliefs is you're in this specific spot in this moment.
Hmm.
They say God circled you in this
Yeah.
place in this moment for a reason.
Hmm.
But also the world could not exist without you specifically, with your attributes, with your personality, with your contributions to the world.
Hmm.
And that's where that feeling comes from, where like, I have something good to offer.
Hmm.
I do want to contribute. I have knowledge, I have skills, I have education. And yes, all those things are true,
Hmm.
right? So I think the important thing to remember is if you can get up and try again and try in a different direction and
Hmm.
try in a different way,
Hmm.
something's gonna work. What matters is you're
Yeah.
willing to get up and get over that part where initially it's like, oh, that's hard to take in.
Hmm.
But I'm gonna get up and I'm gonna try again. And you're not gonna make me feel like I can't accomplish my goal. I'll accomplish it one way or another.
Right. Yeah. I really like that because there's also one thing. It's like if you didn't get that promotion, if you didn't get that job that you wanted, if you didn't get the part that you wanted, it really comes down to it just wasn't your time yet.
Mm.
And that is something that like I stick with all the time. Like there was an opportunity recently that I did not get, and I know personally that like it's just not my time yet. But because I had an opportunity to, let's say, like showcase myself, um that in itself is like, okay, I people are recognizing me, people notice me. And it's something that like I com- continuously uh tell myself. It's like, all right, listen, like you're doing your thing, you have your journey, um and whatever you're working towards right now, like the amount of work that you do put in yourself, there is no way nothing's gonna happen. And that's what it is. So it's like 100% everything that you're saying is like such I mean, of course it makes a person feel better because it's okay. It's okay that this didn't happen. It's okay because everything that you're doing is not regressing. It's only progressing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We we have to be careful not to judge ourselves very harshly,
Hmm.
and I think we do a lot of times.
All the time.
You know, like for example, I'm this age. I haven't accomplished X, Y, and Z that I wanted to 5 years ago.
Hmm.
That's harsh,
That
right?
is really hard.
Mm.
I just said that in the car. I'm 28,
Yeah.
right? And I'm like, and also thinking about like what we also talked about. By the way, I just want to shout out to the producer Solomon right here. He like the guy in the background. He's a really great guy.
Hmm.
He's a great conversationalist, by the way.
Very smart.
Shout out to Solomon. Um, we're also talking about
Hi. I'll just throw myself out there. Hey.
that's him. That's him.
Yeah.
He's the guy. He's the guy. But we were talking about like in terms of like also women in the industry, right? And it's I think it's a very progressing thing,
Mhm.
but also um a thing that like uh society also needs to adapt to is that like a lot of women in the industry are progressing themselves a lot more. And it's like for me, for example, like I'm 28, right? And I'm like I want to do things that are just beyond like exciting, beyond, entrepreneur wise and things like that. But then, like, there are also people like that you want to meet in real life, and like, you want to get married and things like that. And it's just like it's also in the industry of like, it's probably gonna get harder for a woman like me to like find someone who can accept you. And it's just like at this point, being okay with that and just focusing on yourself is just very, very important because women have come a long way to progress themselves into like the careers that they want to do. And it's just like a woman investing in herself a lot more to be a part of this like um amazing progression of society is amazing. Like invest, just always invest, like become smarter, become uh you know I don't know what other synonyms yet.
Yeah. No, you're on the right track. Like
Yeah.
it's an investment,
Hmm.
right? So how do I invest? Well, I can put time into something.
Hmm.
Maybe I need to always be reading a book.
Oh my
That's like
god.
a basic, right,
Yeah.
investment of personal development.
Hmm.
Maybe listening to a podcast that you feel like is enriching your growth mindset,
Subscribe to the
such as
Legends
this one.
Pod, yeah, such as this one, so subscribe to it right now. But yeah, you're right.
um, Connect yourself with people who are smarter than you,
Hmm.
more successful than you, more educated than you.
Hmm.
Because, I mean, I feel like that's like self explanatory,
Hmm.
but it really is challenging you to elevate
Right.
constantly, right?
And those people also who are more successful than you, who are smarter than you as well, it's like those people have a certain level of mindful consciousness that allows someone like
Hmm.
who who is less successful, less intelligent, maybe can like come and like open their arms and be like, dude, yeah, come in, like let me teach you how it's done. And that is something so beautiful
Hmm.
because we in the end everyone wants to lift each other up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of makes me think of like all these movies where there's like the mentors and like, and you go in and you're humble and you're supposed to learn and
Hmm.
listen and follow directions and fail 100 times and take that criticism
But they see the
before,
potential in you
yes,
and the
before they say,
drive.
okay, now you're ready to be at the master level.
Yeah. Are you talking? Yeah.
So stay humble
Hmm.
also in terms of personal development.
Yeah.
I don't want to think that I know it all and I've mastered it all because that's not going to happen
I don't think.
in one lifetime
I
at
mean, no,
least.
no. I don't think you can ever master it.
Hmm.
In terms of that specific like topic, but
Hmm.
in a way where it's like, I love the opportunity to keep on learning because there's
Yes.
always something new to learn, new to invest yourself in. Right. I mean,
Hmm.
like when you said reading books, absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely. Like if I haven't read like self help books specifically, like I would. I mean, clearly it didn't happen, but like I would just would want to think about like, oh, I wonder what I'd be thinking or where my mindset
Yeah.
would have been, prior to reading this book
Hmm.
today. But I mean, it's always something like interesting to think about. But yeah, reading books is such a big thing. Podcasts, yeah.
Essential podcasts. Choose your influences wisely.
Research.
I always say that. Make sure you research. Make sure you know what is that voice I'm listening to, right? It's
Hmm.
important because nowadays there's so many competing influences out there that are trying to just get a second of your time and like capture your attention
Hmm.
or your time
Hmm.
or be able to influence you for one reason or another to
Hmm.
do something.
In this society right now, it's more of a like a split second, like grab your attention, how like quick grab and then move on to the next one. It's a
Mhm.
short term, short span, like uh moment in society like that we're experiencing right now because it's just like short term content is like what it
Mhm.
is. And I feel like the attention span of someone is just has been very low, um and the willingness to take your time and the attention to learn for a longer period of time to sit yourself down is much less than what it used to be before. But I feel like now, and again, we had this really long conversation also with Solomon, like we just dove in. But like now I feel like long-term content, long-term learning, long just sit down and like some if people want to really invest their time,
Mhm.
people are starting to understand it's not as quick anymore.
It's quality. Thank you. So sweet. It's the old idea of quality over quantity,
Exactly.
right?
Hmm.
But this ties a lot with professional development.
Yeah.
I think we kind of overlapped. But even professionally, like, am I seeking opportunities for additional skill buildings, additional certifications? I don't necessarily always have to go out and get like a master's or a PhD, but could I grow my skills where I'm at? um Connect with a different mentor, right?
Hmm.
There's a lot of professional development books out there. There's seminars, there's workshops, there's conferences,
Hmm.
a lot of things that you could do to even build yourself professionally as well.
Yeah, and it's also like the point of like the investment in yourself that you want to accomplish. A lot of people may not see eye to eye on what you're doing,
Mhm.
and that is the biggest part of self development. Is that a lot of people will peer pressure you to go and pick a different direction when you have a feeling that like a calling for you is like a route where you want to develop and progress yourself in.
Mhm.
And it's like that is where you have to like stand your ground the most, where it's like people tell you to do this, but you don't want to do that and you want to go to a different direction,
Yes.
and because in the end, you make the final decision of how your life and how you move forward because whatever the other person told you, it's not going to affect their life at all. They're going to move forward with their life. They're just going to tell
Yeah.
you what to do and just move on with it. But in the end, you're the one that's affected the most. What are you going to do?
Yes.
Yeah.
Understand that. But also with every freedom of choice, there's responsibility and long-term consequences.
Yeah.
So that's why it's important to have backup plans,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah. Plan B, plan
Um,
C.
yeah,
Absolutely.
that I mean, in the financial world, we would say like diversify your asset.
Hmm.
For example, you said don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah.
That's another way to explain it. Some people say multiply your streams of income.
Yeah.
There's different ways to articulate that,
Hmm.
but definitely having backup plans, right?
Yeah. And it's,
Especially because of how fast things change. If one thing doesn't work out, well, I still have three or four others that are pretty good.
yeah. And
Mhm.
it's, the backup plans, it's kind of scary because, like, if, for example, there's this one time leaving college, I applied for a job, like a corporate job at Macy's.
Mm.
And I was, like 22. I was like, I feel like a dumb little kid at 22, even though I'm like in my 20s. But there's
You're
this,
still a baby.
I know I'm still a baby, but there's this one question that they asked me. It's like, oh, so where do you see yourself in 5 years? Macy's is asking me this question, Macy's corporate. And then I was like, oh man, I see myself like being an entrepreneur and like one day owning my own business and things like that. And I'm like, being so um like innovative for myself in the future. And then I got an email back saying, okay, you didn't get the job. And I was like, and I was like literally at the last stage.
Yeah.
And then I was like, why didn't I get the job? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah.
And then the person that was hiring, like, oh, we want people long term in our corporate. So
Mm.
because you said that you want to be an entrepreneur and open your own business one day, we didn't want that. We want people long term in our corporate. I'm like, okay, um, that's what scared you away. Got it. So now it's like, yeah, I mean, eventually everyone and their mother wants to be an entrepreneur one day and don't want to work for anybody else. And it's true. I mean, and I'm speaking out loud for this. Like, yeah, I'd love to work for a corporate company to like invest my time and like make grow a company bigger. But also at the same time, it's like, yeah, like I'd love to open a gym one day. I want to open a boba shop one day. I want to have like property and passive income,
Mhm.
because in the end, like you know, people just want to experience life and they want to experience a little bit of freedom and control of their time. But the investment of your own time of how you're gonna get there uh is the process, is the journey, is the struggle, and is the enjoyment of figuring it out. But also the peer pressure of society of like, I gotta make money to to eat today, or I gotta make money to, and that it's just like everything is just getting more expensive in life, which just pushes you harder to work longer.
Mhm.
And it's just like where is the boundary of like enjoying your time and not being stressed out?
Mhm.
And then where is also the time it's like, okay, there's a little bit of like enjoyment that you can put in yourself. Like I think stressing out is like such a big thing.
I know what you mean. I would say be patient with yourself.
Yeah, yeah.
Be patient with yourself because things take time. Good things take time.
Hmm.
They take investment, they take effort, they take energy. Um so example. Let's just say I get someone who says I want to be debt free, but my debt is $30,000. How am I going to get this done? It's like, okay, don't think about wiping all that debt in 5 minutes. That's going to stress you out.
Hmm.
But let's think about, for example, could you reallocate things in your budget to
Hmm.
like put $20 a month extra towards it? Let's set a timeline. If we
Hmm.
pay $300 a month, could we get it done in a year and a half?
Hmm.
The point of this is you have to be realistic when you create the plan, whether it's personal, professional, or financial.
Hmm.
Um, Kind of like baby stepping it
Hmm.
instead of thinking of the whole thing at once,
Hmm.
right? Because that's where that weight and stress comes from.
Yeah.
Break it down into sections, tackle it in sections, measure your progress, visualize it, and celebrate your process,
Hmm.
your progress through those baby steps.
Yeah, there was this podcast that Eckhart Tolle did with Oprah Winfrey.
Mm.
Oprah Winfrey loved this man. He loved his book, The Power of Now and a New Earth.
Mhm.
And Eckhart Tolle is such a cute old man. When you hear him speak like on the microphone through a podcast, it's like he has a lot of wisdom, but his voice is like such an old jiddo. And there was this part where he mentioned that like they were taking calls from people from out from for questions. And this guy is like, I have bills to pay. There's the stress of like making money all the time and things like that. And like, and then all this he was saying like exactly what we were talking about. And then Eckhart's like, don't worry about it. And the guy's like, what do you mean? Don't worry about it. Like I got stuff to pay. It's like it'll happen. Like don't worry. Like
Mhm.
just take it one step at a time. Like don't worry, it'll happen. Because if I guess what I understood from that, I started laughing because this guy was like mad. This guy was mad at Eckhart. But I guess what the understanding of it is that um if if you're experiencing something bad, it's like not the end. Like
Mhm.
in the end, it's always going to be good
Mhm.
no matter what it is. But of course, it's the effort that you put in yourself as well.
Yeah.
It's the time and the investment you put to yourself.
Well, and it goes back to a lot of things we talked about, such as the importance of being present in the moment.
Mhm.
It's what people say, like stop and smell the roses.
Mhm.
For me, my version of that is like stop and look at the hummingbird. Like whenever the hummingbird is like flying,
Mhm.
I just stop and I watch it.
Hmm.
It's like the most magical
It
thing.
is magical.
But like, could you be present in that moment, even though there's a million things of chaos around you? It just
Yeah.
reminds me of a little story, a little Bible story. It said Jesus went to visit these two sisters' homes, and one of them decided to sit and listen and like cherish that moment. Jesus is in my home. I'm going to sit and listen and watch and absorb every second of it. The other sister was running around, cleaning and organizing and doing some work and like, handling life, right? And she didn't get to sit and enjoy him in that moment when he was there. So a few minutes later, when he was gone, the lesson of this was stop and enjoy that moment when that thing is happening,
Hmm.
because we're always going to be running around like crazy trying to handle 100 different things,
Hmm.
right? Traffic, work schedules, kids, whatever
Especially in this
whatever
fast-paced environment too.
Yeah, bills, like, all these things.
Hmm.
But am I taking a second to just stop and appreciate the moment I'm in? Because there's something good in it, but I'm missing it if I'm distracted with three other things.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I really, yeah, like implementing that in life is sometimes like forgetful, because of the fast-paced environment that you're in. But it's really beautiful to remind yourself that
Hmm.
I don't know. There's something in it, and going back to like putting time in yourself, it's very important because like the more you learn in this role, like you have to take time to like go and expand your brain, expand your knowledge and things and like I mean, even I don't know, like vocabulary. Like I need to work on vocabulary all the time. I have to do words word of the days. Just a freaking like Merriam Webster. But yeah, that's I don't know. What else? I don't have anything else in mind like at the moment personally.
So development, what else? Financial development. How is
Financial
it
development.
important to really continue to invest in yourself financially?
Ooh,
That's a
okay.
big topic that a lot
So
of us are struggling with, especially the younger, like millennials and the generation after the millennials,
yeah, Rosie's really big on that because she works in the financial
financial
field,
industry.
financial industry. She is working towards that to uh, be a better or be a more advanced financial analyst for some people. But yeah, it's very important. I think one thing is the learning of saving money is very important. Um, of course, when you're younger, like like $20 is like such a big thing, and
Yeah.
it's like, but now, or even $100 is such a big thing to me when you're younger, and then now it's like you got older and you're like $100, like okay, well and then your mind gets bigger because like the things that you want to invest in is like much more expensive clearly than $100. And I think even having a um supportive parents and things like that that are willing to teach you in terms of how to save, how to invest, how to be responsible with your money financially, things like that for long-term things, it is very important. And learning that, honestly, I'm blessed that I have parents that taught me that. But for people who did not have that um I guess like experience or like lessons growing up, because we also have to remember there are people who are always living paycheck to paycheck.
Hmm.
And it's like how do you save money if you're living paycheck to paycheck? And I think the biggest thing, which is really I always forget, is that us we're in California, and it's very, very, very expensive here compared to like probably the rest of the states in America, probably the rest of the like I don't want to say all the countries in the world, but like most countries in the world. And but in terms of just speaking in a broader term, saving money and making sure to put that money aside to not touch it, of course, it's like easier said than done. Very beneficial to like use that money for an investment in the long run, or if there's an emergency or anything like that. Yeah,
Yes, definitely. So thinking again, short term and long term.
short term, long term. Yeah, it's very important.
Like short term, for example, some of the things you said is having money saved for an emergency or for a goal of something that you're saving for.
Hmm.
That's very important. And even if my income is limited, there's still a way to save a few dollars here and there,
Hmm.
right? Like, I mean, we go to Starbucks every day and spend like 10, 15 bucks on like breakfast.
Absolutely.
Like, if I just think about that, for example, there's a way where I could use that $15 to buy enough supplies to make me a week of breakfast at home that I'm buying from a place in one day.
Yeah, that's ready made and like quick and like
Yeah.
go. Yeah,
And it's not
it's
specifically
true.
about Starbucks, it's just in general. Anytime I'm eating out or drinking out, there's a lot of ways to save,
Hmm.
right? The next thing is that is important is making sure that we're minimizing our debt. That's a huge one
Hmm.
because even emotionally, debt has an effect on us. Mentally, it has an effect on us,
Hmm.
right? How do you live in a society that's built on the concept of credit and debt? I mean, from our government treasury to our corporations, the biggest corporations,
Yeah,
they leverage debt. It's like a normal thing in America, right?
it is.
But like us growing up, we never had the concept of debt in Jordan. My dad just had to work and save and invest the savings and work more and save more,
Yeah,
right?
but I think also like in America, like that's they leverage around the concept of like debt because loans and like monthly payments and things like that. It's a calculated debt,
Mm-hmm.
which is a plan, which is planned. When people take investments in real estate, for example, it's a calculated loan because you can afford it, which doesn't stress you out to make monthly payments on it, which
And
is
it's going to
different.
appreciate in
Exactly.
value. And that's different than, like, for example,
Give me $100.
me
Yeah.
buying coffee and breakfast and lunch every day on a credit card that's charging me like 10, 20%.
Right. But
So there's good and bad, and we want to discern
mhm,
when to leverage it and when
to
it's
your um advantage.
advantage, such
Yeah.
as appreciation on like a mortgage value, for
Yeah.
example, or a property,
Hmm.
and when it could be detrimental in the long term,
Yeah.
where now 3 years later, I'm still not paying that card because I'm barely paying the interest, not even hitting the principal.
And I think the most detrimental thing you can do is partially pay a credit card bill. Either you pay it all or don't spend to the point where you can't afford it. And that's like a big mental thing to remember in your mind where it's like if you don't have it, then don't abuse it because you,
Yeah.
you can't you can't give it back. And that's like mentally also just preparation to the word. I'm just going to put the word invest in yourself to train your mind not to like you know risk it, risk kind of thing.
It's like back in the day, our grandparents, they used to live within their means.
Mhm.
That was the thing, right?
Mhm.
And we forgot about that idea.
Mhm.
But just, think about how did my grandma and grandfather do it,
Mhm.
right?
I mean also the concept of greed has increased a lot
Hmm.
because there are a lot more resources available than what used to be because but like you said everyone lived within their means. And I can think that the concept like in Jordan for example because I feel like it's more of a Muslim country,
Hmm.
it's not really geared towards like a debt um like society, like a debt culture kind of thing. It's more of like you borrow what you can and then you give back the same amount that you borrowed kind of thing.
And also, something that is within our fundamentals is giving and being charitable.
Hmm.
Like that is a non-negotiable,
Yeah.
right?
That's
Is
also
being able to generously give and share some of that.
I think what also is very important is that what it is like investing in yourself to be more open-minded, to be more giving, to be more caring, to let go of things that really just affect you negatively.
Mhm.
But you have to dig in yourself to understand that what is it um, that affects me negatively that I have to get rid of. But it's the time that you need to look into for yourself
Mhm.
that really um, of course, is going to benefit you in the future, right? And
Mhm.
giving is a very big thing that a lot of people probably don't have that like skill set mindset yet, you know? And
Yeah.
and anytime, I mean, I don't know if anyone else experienced this, but like every time you do give or you do help someone, it kind of makes you feel very like lighthearted and happy to see someone else's joy.
And it multiplies.
It does multiply
Like
because, oh, sorry, I just want to say one more thing. Like, like for example, like if you're at a Starbucks and like you pay it forward,
you
someone you
read my mind.
are you gonna say that? Are you gonna say that?
So many times I was in like the coffee bean line or the Starbucks line and someone pays for me and I'm like, what? Like there's
Yeah,
good people everywhere.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, which is crazy.
Synchronized.
Yeah, it's so beautiful because like the imagine if everyone in the world was like that.
It starts with it, I mean,
Starts with one.
starts with what does it start with?
S-
Build your financial independence,
mm.
right? So be disciplined, save, use credit smart in a smart way,
Smart way.
not, live within your
Pay your
means.
credit card bills fully, ladies and gentlemen. Don't pay it partially because there's interest and it accumulates. Come on, guys. Anyway, sorry. This is a
um
financial podcast. How to save money.
we're shifting all about
I know.
money now. Where were we? Oh yeah. So as you are responsible with your debts, with your savings,
Mhm.
right? You will get to a point where, okay, I can share more and I can enjoy that a lot more, right?
Yeah.
But don't forget a part of that savings is also, for example, like if you have children saving for their college fund.
Yeah. And
That's a big one. And I know
it's
there's a lot of
huge.
drama now in the news about student loans, forgiveness and not forgiveness and all of that, right? I mean, the reality is like if you're able to invest for your kids to not have to be in that position. And I know, for example, that's something my dad worked really hard towards
Mhm.
is making sure that none of us came out of college or university with a single penny of debt on us.
Allah
And I,
يطول عمرهم. Literally. Like,
and I know your parents have done
yeah, they did the same thing.
the same and
Yeah.
continue to support
Yeah.
in the same way. And what a blessing that is.
It honestly is a huge blessing.
Mhm.
Like it's a very huge blessing that and I say it in my head every single day because there are people who go to college who want to explore and invest in themselves to like get a better education, but like they are taking this step as a risk to like, yeah, I'm
Mhm.
going to borrow money from the government to further my knowledge, to make income that is satisfactorily financial, like in a financial way to them,
Yeah.
and to pay it back and to still be in a positive environment, in a positive thinking environment.
Yes.
It's tough, and it's also a blessing for us just to, but I'm happy that I do think that way and I don't think in a stubborn way because I have been exposed to other people and talked to other people who who are currently experiencing it.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah.
definitely. And it's
Yeah.
not easy.
No.
Um, but it takes discipline and it takes years of discipline, right? Same concept with like saving for your retirement. We think, oh, we're young, we have a lot of time. Mm-mm.
No.
No, baby, we're not.
No.
So here's the thing with 401k, the younger you start, the
Mhm.
better it is. Because when you're young, you could throw in a less than 10% and you're going to be rich when you retire.
Yeah.
But the longer you wait, now you're going to have to put 15, 20, 25% to just have enough when you retire.
Mhm.
So the discipline needs to start early and learn those habits early for like saving for retirement, for example.
Yeah.
And another tip I learned recently is one of my bosses just retired. She was with the company like 35 years. And I told her, what is the biggest thing you learned in this transition? She said, put all your retirement money in Roth IRAs, which all that means is if you do traditional, you're putting your money before taxes. So the
Mm.
benefit of that is you lower your taxable income. It's more of like a short term gain. Okay, I'm going to pay less taxes this year. That's basically. But
Mm.
if you're doing Roth, you're putting your money after taxes. So I'm paying
Oh.
today's tax rate on that money. But when I retire, I know there's going to be more inflation. It's going to cost me more to pay taxes 20 years from now. So if I pay it now, it's a smart decision because you're saving money from having to pay more taxes later. But
Mm.
you do eat the cost now.
So if you want to hire Rosie as a financial analyst to kind of, mitigate how to spend and invest for your future, the it's in the section it's in the comment section down below. I'm just kidding. I don't
Feel free to
know.
ask
Feel
questions
free feel free to hire Rosie for consultation
for
uh for
motivation.
motivation. No, honestly, I mean, no, these are, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously these are great like advice, especially for the future, because this is all again, this whole theme of today's podcast is investing in yourself.
Investing yourself, build
Yeah,
critical thinking.
critical thinking. Yeah.
So critically think in every aspect of your life.
Mhm.
You know, as a consumer, you have to critically think,
Yeah,
right?
you have to do research.
Research.
Yeah, it's like I said, in this fast-paced environment, short-term everything is like that's their people's attention span, which is again really, like, really low. So critical thinking is very important, to do your research, to cuz you need to do a lot of research to make a final decision based on the information that you've gathered.
Yes.
And that's it, and again, like, people just make a very quick decision, and then it just backfires because realistically they didn't make uh they didn't do enough research.
Enough put thought into it, time.
Yeah.
Um, sleep on it is one of my favorite
It's
things.
true.
It's tried and true. Whether it's a big purchase, a big decision, a big change,
Mhm.
sleep on it. And if you need to sleep on it 1 to 3 days, that's fine, right? But really, that gives you time to digest, and that gives you time to contemplate, that gives you time to shut down all outside influences
Mhm.
and hear your own heart and
Mhm.
your own mind.
Yeah. Oh my god, Rosie. Jeez. Jeez, I love that. I think another thing to also make sure to invest yourself in is your health. Yeah. Yeah,
Absolutely.
mentally, physically, spiritually. Um People do forget that.
They do.
Yeah.
When we think of like assets and liabilities, I'm thinking about money, debt, credit, property. But do I think that my health is really my biggest asset?
People forget it.
It really is,
Yeah.
right? Because if something goes wrong, God forbid, how much time, effort, and energy and cost does it take to fix it?
Yeah.
Like in the human body.
And if you're not okay, then you cannot pursue what you are pursuing.
Mhm.
You are working towards, because your body is not healthy. Your mind is not healthy,
Yes.
and it's very, very important to take a step back. It's like, okay, if you're burning out, which was last week's topic. Remember that one? I can't remember the third episode's name, to be honest. I still blanking on it.
I know.
Yeah, but if you're burning out and you are not taking into consideration what your body's feeling, what your mind is feeling, then every other outcome of everything that you're working on is not going to be on that path that you think you're in, because it's not coherent.
Yeah.
You know.
And coherence comes from the balance
Mm-hmm.
of opposite things. Like the whole universe is built on a balance of opposites.
Yeah.
Think about it, right? Day and night, sun and moon,
Fire and water.
fire and ice,
Yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah.
So even for us, like in our daily life, where we need to balance those forces.
Mm-hmm.
So, sleeping, quality of sleep
Mm-hmm.
is going to impact the waking performance and vice versa.
Diet.
Diet
Mm-hmm.
is going to impact everything. My
Everything.
mood, my energy level, my metabolism, my hormonal balance,
Yeah.
my health.
Yeah, and also it's really important to implement about putting time for yourself. Whether you go to a gym, you do like a small workout, you meditate. I really, really want to preach meditation to like everybody out there, because meditation is really the like 10 minutes a day. You really put time for yourself. 10 minutes, no technology, no phone, no outside environment, no outside distractions.
Mhm.
You yourself putting your time to meditate and just I'm not gonna say drown in your thoughts, but like dissect your thoughts is a better way to put it. Because if you do that, you can get out of that fog that you're in. You can think more clearly. You can differentiate things that are not important, that is important.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you drown yourself into conversations that happened years ago. Sometimes you drown yourself in imaginary conversations that are probably never happen. It's like, man, I should have told this guy this,
Yeah.
and things like that, where you sit down and while you're meditating, you dissect that. I'm like, bro, like, put that aside. Why are you thinking about this right now? Like, what
Mhm.
is more important? What do you want to manifest? What do you want to put your future towards? And what do you want to accomplish?
Mhm.
And it's very important to, even health wise, because it starts with your mind, really,
Mm.
to have that positive thinking, to implement it all over your body.
Yeah.
And breathing. People forget to take deep breaths. It's very important.
Mhm.
Your body, because the more oxygen you have in your brain, the more clearly you can think. So take deep breaths, everyone. You
And I don't
know?
know if we've said this before, but I heard this thing that said like deep breaths are a reflection of a deep life, and like shallow breaths are reflecting a shallow life. Like you're not indulging and
Oh,
enjoying and living
yeah.
at that capacity. But we don't necessarily need to like go to an expensive retreat.
Not
You
even
know,
your
like
bedroom.
you could do a silent retreat in your room. You can change the lights. You can do aromatherapy. You can listen to, if your mind is overactive in a million directions, which happens to me a lot, I'll do guided meditations because I'm so focused on their voice and their guidance that I forget my life. And that's the best feeling.
It is the best feeling. I think for my experience, me personally, I put on like meditation music
Mhm.
and I turn on a candle, which I forgot to turn off in my room. Oh my
Hopefully
god.
the cat turns it off.
No, I don't. No, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. No, but like scented, like something scented that's like it smells really nice, that like can calm me,
Mhm.
and then just like um be submersive into just letting go, which I really thoroughly enjoy a lot.
It's really important. Again, balance, right? If the
Hmm.
outside world is chaotic and
And it is.
demanding
Yeah.
and there's so much going on so fast, really your home to elevate your personal growth is that balance. Is it calm? Is it quiet? Is it therapeutic?
Hmm.
Is it um helping you get in that mindset,
Hmm.
right? Of like shutting off, turning, restoring your
Restoring,
balance. So your
restoring.
home environment plays a big place.
Yeah. And you can, and honestly, your room is your room. You could set it up however way you want to, because it's also like the aura, the vibe that you create in your room, right? I mean, you have to make sure that it's just positivity all the time. Um, and
And
yeah,
if there's any negative vibes, sage it.
sage it, baby.
Ever since I was little, my mom is like a big
Like bakhur.
believer in
Okay.
burning sage.
Yeah.
You know, she just burns sage, and I never really knew why, but her thing was like this is going to elevate the positive energy of the place, minimize
I
the
love
negative.
sage.
I just me, I boil water, put it on sage, and drink it, and I literally feel like the negative things are flushed out of my body.
You drink it?
Yeah,
Huh. I did
all
that.
the time.
Interesting.
It's also very medicinal.
Okay.
So it like lowers your blood pressure, your blood sugar, balances, helps you with hormones. Like my mom swears by sage.
I gotta try that.
Um, it's amazing. We get our sage from Philistine,
Ugh. Say less, dude.
and the smell of it is so intense, so intense. Like there's literally oils evaporating when you put the hot water on it. It's
Wow.
amazing.
Okay. Well, now I gotta go over and try it. I'm, no, that's really good. But yeah. Wow. We are almost out of time. That's crazy.
Not for long. We might take a micro break, but we will be back.
We will be back, but this series specifically, like I really enjoyed it. We kind of wanted to do this, and I said this in the beginning of the podcast, like a Ramadan series about just to cap it all out, to like just to recap everything is overall the whole bubble is just investing in yourself. I really am still thinking what that third episode was, but I know the fourth episode is not how to not burn yourself out, how to break a routine, how to control your time.
Mhm.
My God, what was the third
What was
episode?
the third
I
one?
don't know.
We'll,
What
we'll
was it?
find it.
We'll find it.
I
We'll
don't
figure
remember
it
the
out.
name.
Here, hold on.
Okay, we're gonna find it
I'm
right
gonna
now.
look it up. Give me a second. It's
Um,
like 2 seconds. Literally. I could have just looked it up ages ago. Oh my God. Jeez.
never lose hope, no matter how crazy and chaotic the world around you is.
Insane. Oh,
Break.
how to accept the challenge in your life.
Say it one more time so people can hear you.
How to accept the change in your life, not challenge. How to accept the change
Changes
in your life.
life.
Because we were talking about that full week about your grandma. That like you had a controlled set weeks that you wanted to do, and you
And it
had
was just
everything was a
changes,
schedule,
changes.
and there's a whole bunch of so yeah, that's it. So the series was how to break a routine,
Mhm.
how to control time, how to accept change in your life, how to not burn out, and now how to invest in yourself,
Elevate yourself.
elevate yourself. That is the full Ramadan series that we wanted to talk about. You have anything to add?
Wow, so many things.
Mm-hmm.
But I know there's a lot of chaos in the world and a lot of, us have experienced a tough last couple of
Not
years.
your grandma, your aunt. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Sorry. Go ahead.
But I want everyone to remember that focus on what you can control.
Mm-hmm.
You could still live a very good life, right? As long as you're knowing what your priorities are, you're working towards your plan, patient with yourself, celebrate the small successes,
Yes.
surround yourself with people you love and respect and admire who are elevating you, and you elevate and sharpen them as well.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and just don't forget to enjoy the small things, because really at the end, those are what add up to the bigger picture of your life.
I just want to say I appreciate you very much. I mean, like the positive thinking, the positive mindset is very important. It's a great reminder, and I love how you like deeply explain about it. It's just like moves me. It's like, oh man, yeah, you're right, yeah, and I'm just like on your back with that. But with that, everyone, would like to thank you guys for joining us. I mean, we'll be back. This is not the end. I'm just gonna say the end of season 1. I could say,
Yeah,
yeah, the end of season 1.
I like that.
Season 2 is gonna happen soon. So if you guys liked this podcast, please subscribe to it, give a like, share with your friends. Subscribe also to the podcast channels, which is like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We're also on YouTube as well because the video. Hey, how you doing? I'm waving to you. Other than that, we will see you guys soon. We'll see you soon.
Season
Season 2.
2.
Peace out. Have a great day.